Fasten your seatbelt. I am taking you for the ride of your life. I'm going to show you what this car can really do. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
Forget him, kid.
To infinity and beyond!
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
So you can go ahead and ask me what you're going to ask me, and my natural response could be to get offended.
Well, fine, let's talk about it.
Any thoughts of your own on this matter? But is that your thing? You come into a bar, you read some obscure passage, and then pretend you pawn it off as your own idea just to impress some girls?
Just another American who saw too many movies as a child.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right.
You're listening to the 30-something Movie Podcast. One movie each week, 30 years in the making. Yes, it is the 30-something Movie Podcast. We are back at you again for another episode, another 1993 movie. This time around, it is Loaded Weapon 1. So I'm sure the quotes and jokes will be flying fast and furious here. As I have with me this evening, I was going to ask you guys to give me a name, but I feel like my parents should have done that. So I think I've got with me Bo Warmbold. Bo, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. I'm just taking one of those unmotivated butt in the moonbeam walks.
Outstanding.
That's what I'm doing. Patrick, you look pained. Was it that visual, or are you doing okay?
No, the visual is good.
Okay.
If you remember from last week's episode, I did not have a voice. Now my voice is sort of coming back, but
yeah, shields are at shields sound like they're at like 72%.
Yeah, they're like at 72%.
Yeah.
There's a power drain.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. But it's good to see you guys, and we're going to talk about some fun movies.
Yeah. Your voice is like the shields in Star Trek 2. They go up and down counterclockwise. So you got to wait for it to like boop, 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 do that whole thing.
Yes.
Raise them then.
I can't. The fun thing, and I will talk about this a little bit later, the fun thing about this movie is part of the Star Trek cinematic universe.
It would be.
Because
it is.
We have
it
Scotty.
It certainly is.
We have Scotty. I mean, clearly it's a time travel movie. He's gone back in time. He's working with machines and with the computer. So I'm sure he's sitting there in his police uniform, just, picking up the mouse. Hello, computer.
Hello, computer. I've given it all she's got.
Oh, coffee, Mr. Coffee. How quaint.
How quaint.
You just go to the replicator for that kind of stuff. Coffee black. Make it yourself. So we've got Loaded Weapon 1 is our movie this time around. We spoil freely, so this is really your only spoiler alert. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com. There's all kinds of good stuff over there. You can see all of our other episodes up to this point. We have, prior to this episode, there are about 469 other episodes for you to enjoy. So if there is a movie that came out that you enjoyed between 1984 and 1993, we've probably covered it at this point. And if we haven't, just give us a hot minute and we'll get there.
That's right. I think it's safe to say we have covered that movie. If we haven't covered it, then we've covered another one in its place. I think that's a safe, you know what I'm saying?
Correct. So basically, if you're going on a long road trip for, gosh, I don't know, half a year, then we probably have enough episodes for you that you can take us along on that long road trip with you.
Oh, yes.
But head on over to 30podcast.com. You can leave us a rating over there if you're enjoying the show. You can leave us a voicemail. You could become a co-executive producer and join us over on Patreon, where any level of support over there gets you access to bonus episodes, and we got all kinds of good stuff over there. Especially, I think you'd really enjoy the one for this month. The full episode over there on the Patreon feed is on American Graffiti. So that was a fun one to talk about, and I think... I'm not sure Pat has finished talking about it.
Yeah, there's much to unpack with that movie every time you watch it.
You and I were talking the other day, and you were like, I don't know, like we might have recorded for an hour and a half. I'm not sure we even scratched the surface on that movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I know we didn't scratch the surface.
Yeah. There was that article that we found talking about how the author of this article thought that it was George Lucas's greatest work.
Yeah.
And it was, he had some pretty thought-provoking ideas on it. And it suddenly got me thinking like, oh man, I think we still need to talk about this movie.
Yeah. And you said, did you say Dennis and his son had watched it and then went and watched more American Graffiti?
Yeah. Dennis and his son watched it. And then we were talking all about it, hitting on a lot of those points. Like and we were both saying like, man, I didn't know this. And then what guy do you like? And what do you think this is really about? And the themes in this, we were talking all about that. And he said they got done and they were both like, I wish there was more. And I said, well, I think there's another. Well, I said, I know there's another American Graffiti. There's the second one. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah, I think it's called More American Graffiti.
Yeah.
He goes, wow, we'll have to find it. And so he found that. And the next day he came back and he's just like, oh my gosh. And, I mean, it was really fun following those characters and discussing the themes presented therein. And it was pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to get more bonus content like that, fun stuff like those extra episodes, and we've got a couple little Patreon shorts, little 15-minute or so episodes that we do a couple times a month over there as well. That is all for our Patreon co-executive producers, so head on over there. You can even join us there at a level so that you get to come on the show with us, or you get to tell us what to watch, or all kinds of other stuff. So head on over there and you can join us over there. Yeah, definitely do that because for this month and the last couple of months, we have been told we are not making our quota.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like this is going to be one of those quotathons that we're just going to, there's so many quotable lines from this movie that.
Well, that's kind of what it is.
Oh, it is. And this movie parodies so many movies.
Yes.
So many. Even the little teeny tiniest scenes in this are
and the cameos just keep coming. I mean, the chips drop in. Mm-hmm. It's just so funny.
I don't know. We just got here and started firing. I don't know.
And the shtick behind that, right?
In the hallway.
The shtick behind that is they never fired a shot in the TV show.
Never drew their weapons in the show chips. Yeah.
So yeah.
And then, I'll never understand Hollywood, and this is one of those movies that you look at and you just I don't understand it. Like F. Murray Abraham.
Yeah.
What's he doing here?
I don't know.
Does somebody call him up and say, hey, I need you for a day? Maybe. I need you to run 7 lines with Samuel L. Jackson. Here's the setup. Here's the scene. Will you come do this? Like, how does that happen? Because it happens all the time. Like, you see Ben Kingsley in weird movies like this. You're like, what transpires to get an F. Murray Abraham out of his door and to the studio for that shot?
I feel like something must have happened where in 1992-93, F. Murray Abraham owed somebody some money because between this,
something he needed a new house or who knows.
Between this and John Practice in Last Action Hero, maybe that was it. Maybe he wanted to like redo his bathroom, and he's like, "Well, what is this going to be like? An hour on set? Sure, let's do it." All I got to do is make fun of Anthony Hopkins. Let me get right down.
Oh yeah, let me spin that up for you.
Yeah. With some fava beans and a nice fresca. Yeah.
All I wanted was a fresca after that. That's it.
Yeah.
I was like, God, I love fresca.
Yeah. So.
I still don't know what a fava bean is, but I do like some fresca.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever had a fava bean. Patrick, have you had a fava bean?
I don't know what, to be honest with you. I don't know what the fava beans are.
Okay.
See, this is what I'm saying. Now I have to look up a fava bean.
They pair well with Chianti and a census man's liver.
Apparently.
Are they like other beans?
Yeah, it's a broad bean. It is a springtime crop.
It's
grown and eaten around the world. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. Honestly, it kind of looks like it almost looks like edamame, like visually.
Okay.
Yeah, it really does. Like,
man, look at them beans.
Yeah. Okay.
That's so weird. They totally just look like edamame beans.
They
That's
do kind
interesting.
of, pretty much, yeah.
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 And there's a bunch of different ways to cook them, apparently. But.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we've got, like I said, we got loaded weapons. So let's go ahead and jump on into our trivia pursuits section of this. If you haven't joined us on the show before, we run through the trivia pursuits section. We give you a little bit of trivia on the movie, some of the background, some of the actors and cast and crew that worked on it. We give you a quick little synopsis. We jump through the major moments, kind of break down the plot into 10-ish moments that summarize the movie in case you haven't watched it or haven't watched it lately. Then we get on into our deeper thoughts. Then we've got 3 questions that are quasi-related to the movie sometimes, and usually one has something to do with food. And that is pretty much the layout of our episodes. So we'll go ahead and jump on into the trivia part of it. This one came out on February 5th, 1993, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour, 24 minutes. Directed by Gene Quintano, who did Police Academy 3, Back in Training, and Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. One related to, I'm glad that he made it out to become a movie director, because it was his cousin or his brother just ended up in prison and bowling leagues, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
That creep can roll, man.
Yeah, but he's a pervert, dude.
Yeah.
Writers for this one were Don Holly and Gene Quintano. Don Holly did The Butcher's Wife in 91 and Gross Anatomy, TV series, in 89. Gene Quintano also did Honeymoon Academy and Police Academy 3, Back in Training. Producers were Suzanne Todd, who did Alice in Wonderland, the 2010 version, and Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Producer for this one was also David Willis. He did Die Hard with a Vengeance and Look Who's Talking. Composer was Robert Folk, who did Police Academy and Tremors. Cinematographer was Peter Deming, who did Mulholland Drive and Evil Dead 2. Editor was Christopher Greenberry, who did American Beauty and Me, Myself, and Irene. The production company was New Line Cinema. Budget was $13 million. Box office was $28 million. No cinema score. Flick Metrics gives it a 47%. Emilio Estevez plays Jack Colt. He was in The Breakfast Club and Young Guns. Samuel Jackson plays Wes Luger. He was in Pulp Fiction and Jurassic Park. John Lovitz played Tim Becker. He was in Rat Race and A League of Their Own. Tim Curry played Mr. Jigsaw. He was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Clue. Kathy Ireland played Destiny Demeanor. She was in Alien from L.A. and Necessary Roughness. William Shatner played General Motors. He was in Star Trek and Star Trek II and pretty much Star Trek everything else. F. Murray Abraham.
You're just going to leave it at that.
Pretty much,
yeah. Star Trek. Yeah.
F. Murray Abraham was in Amadeus, Finding Forrester, and as we said, needed a remodeled bathroom for this one. He played Harold Leacher. Whoopi Goldberg was Billy York. She was in Sister Act and Ghost. Charlie Sheen was Valet. He was in Wall Street and Hot Shots. Dennis Leary was Mike McCracken. He was in The Sandlot and A Bug's Life. Corey Feldman was a young cop. He was in The Goonies and Stand By Me. Paul Gleason, who died in 2006, was an FBI agent. He was in The Breakfast Club and Die Hard. Frank McRae was Captain Doyle. He was in Last Action Hero and 48 Hours. Vito Scotti, who died in 1996, played a tailor. He was in The Godfather and The Aristocats. And James Doohan, who died in 2005, played Scotty. He was in, let's just say, everything Star Trek. All right. Some quick trivia for this one. Emilio Estevez, who played Jack Colt, and Charlie Sheen are brothers. If you did not know that, they have both parodied cop movies. Emilio in Loaded Weapon 1 and Charlie in Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. Clearly, this film is a parody of the Lethal Weapon series. Loaded Weapon 1 constantly refers to scenes in the Lethal Weapon franchise, like the scene, like different scenes where Riggs is considering suicide, or the scene where Murtaugh is on the toilet and there's a bomb, and all those different parts. So there's a ton of Lethal Weapon stuff in here. And the one that I found myself most interested in is that this movie links several franchises together in what I've just decided this is just a vast multiverse of everything. So I'm going to call it the Everything Everywhere All at Once Cinematic Universe. Because they talk about, Leacher, the serial killer, the F. Murray Abraham, as he's doing his sniffing, he's like, oh, your cologne is high karate. Well, in The Incredibles in 2004, Frozone, who is played by Samuel Jackson, is seen using that brand of cologne, high karate. So, therefore, what I'm saying is that because Frozone and Wes Luger used the same kind of cologne, that we can mix together this universe with the Pixar universe, and because Scotty's in this movie, we can say that Star Trek and Pixar and Loaded Weapon are all in the same universe, and John McClane is in this movie. So canonically, John McClane could end up in a Star Trek movie.
And canonically, Star Trek is real because Dr. Harold Leacher says quid pro quo.
Yes.
Which means he is real because Donald Trump is real. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it's all real.
Therefore, ergo,
it means I'm pretentious.
And we apparently stepped into the Matrix Reloaded. Cogito ergo sum e pluribus unum. Yeah. What I look forward to is I look
only
forward
in
to
the original Klingon.
Of course. Well, you haven't heard it until it's in the original Klingon. What I look forward to is the movie where John McClane is crawling around a bunch of Jeffries tubes.
How can the same stuff happen to the same guy 3 times?
That's right. Die Hard with a Voyager. Let's make it happen. You could have John McClane crawling around a Borg cube.
Die Hard Titan.
Yes. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Where's the fan film on that?
Yeah. Perhaps it is a good day to die hard.
Oh, boy.
Let's make it happen. I'm all for this. It's a buddy cop movie with John McClane and Worf.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's make it so.
I like it.
John, jumping back to one of your trivia things, did you say Charlie Sheen had also been in a cop parody movie or just a parody movie when he did Hot Shots?
Kind of a parody of a quasi cop movie.
Okay.
Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. It
Got
was
it.
Not really necessarily a cop movie.
Right, but you were saying that they were both in parody movies.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. I was just thinking of something. You know what Worf's least favorite movie would be?
Anything with doors.
The Doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hates Jim Morrison.
Or maybe The Room.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. No, I think Worf would hate
because
Jim
he
Morrison.
couldn't get in or out.
Exactly. You're tearing me apart, Worf. See, there's all the connections.
We have definitely traveled down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, hi, Klingon. oh, hey, Worf.
You wascally rapid Worf.
Oh, dear. All right.
Oh, no. Don't forget the Meecrofilm.
The Meecrofilm. Yeah, so we have to get to the Meecrofilm. The what? I don't know anything about no Meecrofilm. All right. So, yes, this one's connected to everything, basically. All right. A quick synopsis. In a world where crime knows no bounds, 2 mismatched cops are set to redefine chaos. Jack Colt is a loose cannon living on the edge, haunted by his past. Wes Luger is a seasoned sergeant who's seen it all. When the mysterious death of a colleague sends them spiraling into a twisted underworld, they'll need more than just their badges and some loaded weapons to survive.
I see what he did there.
Did you see it?
I see it. I see it. I heard it.
Did you hear it? Facing off against the sinister General Morders. Sure, I'd drive a Buick. And a plethora of lunatics. They'll dodge
Would you
bullets.
say a plethora?
Would you say a plethora? They'll dodge bullets, knives, and the occasional pastry in a race against time.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. From out of the night comes 2 men with enough courage, enough brains.
What you got, Irv?
Dandruff, seborrhea, maybe just dry, itchy scale.
Have you tried this? I use it.
Head and Shoulders?
Enough bullets.
I know what you're thinking. Punk, did he fire 173 times or 174?
To get the job done.
Hey, Scotty! Can you get this machine to work? I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. If I push it any harder, the whole thing will blow.
New Line Cinema presents the cop movie to end all cop movies.
Give me a name. Weren't your parents supposed to do that?
Hey, Sarge. It's tingling.
That means it's working.
Do you sleep in the nude?
Only when I'm naked.
They know never to screw with me.
Wilderness girls.
Is this the big checkout? Come on, level with me.
It's not bad. You'll be fine. You'll be back on your feet in no time.
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
So, this is Mr. Screw with your brain, eat your spleen, wear your flesh as a hairnet leecher, huh? Look who's Mr. Scaredy Pants now. I just gotta ask, what does human flesh taste like?
Chicken.
See it before they make the sequel.
Which they never made.
Because it didn't do well in the theater.
Because it flopped. All right, so major moments for this one. I've broken up the plot into about a dozen or so major moments for this one. So we will fly through these just to kind of give you a recap of what the movie is about. So first one, in Los Angeles, Billy York. Well, we open up with a scene where we have Colt is in a convenience store and they tear the place up. Trying to stop these guys who have come in to rob the place. That's the first scene. Kind of gives us an idea of what the rest of the movie is going to be about. But I think with National Lampoon in front of the title, we know what the movie's going to be about.
And if you didn't know that it was going to be Martin Riggs and Roger Murtaugh, you do now.
You do now. Yes.
Yes.
So in Los Angeles, Billy York, who is played by Whoopi Goldberg, is killed by Mr. Jigsaw, played by Tim Curry, over a microfilm. And
a quota.
They're not making it Wilderness Girls. I can't even do the accent right. But.
Like Tim Curry can do things with his voice that are inhuman. Sometimes I wonder if they like dub it, but then you look at it. No, he is really making that sound.
Yeah. That's why I think we mentioned this before we started recording. I would love, like Tim Curry back in the day when he would have made this, I would have loved for him to have been on Saturday Night Live when they would do the Californians sketch.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, that's something else, man.
Well, no, I wouldn't take that. I would take the number one on North to the... So we've got, then we have Billy York is killed several times by Mr. Jigsaw. And then her old partner, Wes Luger, is given her case by his skeptical captain, and he's teamed up with Jack Colt.
Shouty McShouter captain.
Shouty McShouter, as he is in every movie where he plays the police captain. This one, and if you want to hearken yourself on back to Last Action Hero, when we talked about that one. So.
I'm the captain. I do the screaming here.
always the shouty captain. Let's see. Colt and Luger visit Harold Leecher, the Hannibal Lecter knockoff for this movie, who reveals that Colt's old Vietnam War General Mortars is leading the operation. Asks Colt, look into yourself for the answer about your cookie problem. It's a man with whom you had... what does he say? A man with whom you were involved.
Involved.
A series of him like skipping down the beach with different men. No, not that man. It was in
Not
Vietnam.
him.
No, not that kind of involvement. It was General Mortars. Hey, we never. No, not that kind.
He was my CO in Nam.
Jigsaw
listed
and
him as
Mortars.
MIA, but the VA ID'd his MO, and we put on an APB.
Then we'll all be on KP.
Yeah.
So Jigsaw and Mortars murder Mike McCracken, knowing how happy you were to see Dennis Leary in last week's movie, Demolition Man. He didn't last too long in this movie.
He did not, but man, did he have some fun moments.
He had a fun musical number.
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
Little Beatles action.
I feel like, I don't know what his first movie was, but I feel like it was like they just are hiring him to be in the movie and just be him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like we need 45 seconds of material from one of your routines.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, done. We're putting you in. And it's just very fun to see.
Never judge a book by its cover.
That's true. And this is actually, if you blink and you'll miss it, but one of his ladies in red that are singing along with him is Denise Richards, and this is her first movie that she was ever in.
Okay.
Would later marry Mr. Charlie Sheen.
Would yes. Later marry
and would
and
later
then
divorce Mr. Charlie Sheen.
So basically, batting the cycle there.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the first scene in which first movie she was ever in. First scene in which Captain Kirk bites a piranha. You never get to see that in another movie.
No, it's true.
Yeah. He's upset about the whales. You know what? He's upset because the doctor from Star Trek 4 left him at the end of that movie. So he just hates all marine life, I think is what it is. He's like, he expected to get back to the future and be like, hey, now we can hang out with each other. No, actually, I'm shipping off on this other ship. So see you later.
I've got 100 years of catch-up learning to do.
Yeah.
What do they say in your time? I don't even have your telephone number.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, about that. See ya. I just gotta go to this thing over there and then what the.
Don't call me. I'll call you.
I'll hail you. All right. Then after investigating Rick Becker's claims, played by John Lovitz, about money laundering, literal money laundering, with York, Rick is shot by unknown attackers, leading Colt and Luger to the Wilderness Girls factory. Destiny Demeanor, who works there, is the head of the factory, and she denies any knowledge of the operation, but is later revealed to be in league with Mortars. A helicopter shows up, sent by Mortars to destroy Colt's house, and mistakenly destroys John McClane's house instead, which is a fun little scene.
That was really funny.
They blow up the RV on the beach. They blow up the trailer on the beach, and he comes out with the little white flag. He's like, "What are you doing? Isn't this?" I don't remember what number it was. It was like, "Isn't this a 420?" No, this is 418. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no problem. Great.
That was a funny scene.
Despite the case being dismissed by Captain Doyle for lack of evidence, Colt decides to continue the investigation. Destiny, who is now in love with Colt, and next time hopes that they do something other than just smoke cigarettes in bed, tries to stop Mortars, but is shot by him. Mortars also reveals that he was the one who kidnapped Colt's dog, Claire, who shows up a little bit later as his prisoner. Luger, having had the same kind of flashbacks to times where if he would have just followed the book, the old lady in her walker wouldn't have been run over by a car. Or if he'd just, shot the clown, then everything would be okay. Or, these old flashbacks that harken back to the Lethal Weapon movies. But Luger, having reconsidered Colt's words, arrives just in time to shoot and kill Mortars, and Colt kills Jigsaw, but they start a fire that ultimately engulfs the entire factory, and it all goes up in flames.
By the way, with all the references to Lethal Weapon, nothing about the toilet.
Well, he's sitting there on the toilet when he walks in that one time, and he's sitting there. He's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just taking a dump.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted more.
You wanted you wanted an explosive in the bathtub, or
it didn't. I don't know. I wanted more from it. I felt they gave, and maybe it's because that scene in Lethal Weapon is already comedy.
Yeah,
but I wanted more. That's all.
I feel like Luger needed a boat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or a house under construction or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Somebody needed something like that. Did Colt jump off of any buildings in this one? I don't think so.
Not that I recall.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they didn't already have a bunch of scenes where called back to those movies, but yeah, there's a few
Right.
others.
There's just some things you're like, come on now.
Yeah. So let's see. Doyle arrives at the scene and offers Luger a chance to remain in the force and not retire, which he accepts, but only on the condition that Colt remains as his partner. In a twist, Destiny, who we thought was dead, but she's not dead yet. She's actually feeling a lot better, maybe if she just goes for a walk. She has survived and returns with Rick Becker and Claire the dog. And the film ends on a little bit of a lighter note with the team dancing to Bohemian Rhapsody in the car, as you do when you have a crowd of people in the car. You headbang to Bohemian Rhapsody. And that's the movie. I'm sure more stuff will come out, and I'm sure we'll talk quotes and other stuff as we're going along. But do you feel like there's anything I missed in the broad overview of things?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that was how it sums it up.
All right. Let's have some deep thoughts.
And now, deep thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot.
Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
Is this the Billy York informant shootout? No, that's on the third floor.
Third floor.
All right. So I'm going to start with a different first question this time. I will get to the question of did you like this movie and when was the first time you saw it? But I think a more important question, and I'm a little sad that Dennis is not here for this one, but I think the most important question I could ask is, how do you feel about the designated hitter rule?
I feel it was an inevitable end to a long-fought battle.
Mm-hmm. Our long national nightmare has just begun.
Oh, it's over. No, that we will have the nightmare forever. The designated hitter's not going anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Designated hitter is when, like, the pitcher can have someone hit for him, right?
It's when the pitcher has had too much to drink and they need someone to drive for them. That's what it is.
So clearly, and I don't know whether it's the American League or the National, whatever the heck it is, but clearly the White Sox have a designated hitter and the Cubs don't, based on your answer.
Actually, now everybody has the designated hitter as of 3 years ago, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Well, okay. Well, moving on to happier topics.
All right.
Did you like this movie, and when was the first time you saw it?
Yes, and the second it showed up at Blockbuster.
Okay.
Or HBO or whatever it was. Like, I don't even know how I knew about it, but I had to see this movie.
Mm-hmm. I remember the trailer for this movie. Like, I remember seeing it on TV, and I don't think we would have seen this one in the theater, but I pretty much I can echo the same story. I bet as soon as it came to Blockbuster, I was like, I'm renting this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is just too many cameos, too much goofy. Like, you just have to see the crazy.
Right. Yeah. No, this is a fun one. It is so very stupid. But it's one of those so very stupid movies that are so very funny, and you know, I don't know what else I can say.
I feel like I remember things that stick out from this movie that you remember years later. The piranha.
Yeah.
Like, the whole shtick with the piranha was just hysterical.
Yeah, the stuff I remember not understanding the joke about at the time were things like the Basic Instinct skit.
Right.
You know, but then, you know, some of the other ones, and even like a lot of the Lethal Weapon stuff. But as a kid, I think when you're watching this, it's just the goofiness of all of the stuff that's going on. You know, and as a kid, I would have gotten the Star Trek references with Scotty and that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think with this one, you recognize the actors and the characters from other stuff, and you recognize like the weird, goofy stuff people are doing.
That is the question, you know, that I had was, well, okay, who are they marketing this for? And it was funny because I'm like, you know, like, if you haven't seen all these movies, I mean, which obviously there's kids out there that have seen all these movies and so forth. But then that's when I pulled back and I'm like, okay, well, even if you hadn't seen all these movies, I'd seen enough of the movies to get you by. And you're right. There was the goofy, there was all the situational humor, there was all the cameos, the dialogue, which seems to be a hallmark of the way things were written back then, with the whole, give me a name and, well, yeah, that's your parents did that, like all that kind of stuff, would have been still, that would have been humorous. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Well, that would have been humorous. Let me analyze that. I meant to say, that is funny, but that would have been humorous to a kid that maybe didn't quite get all the different references in there. And I got to be honest, though, like even the stuff with Basic Instinct.
Wow, what's that?
It's a beaver.
Really? Yeah, I've seen these on PBS.
Even though there was no chance in like anything that I was going to get to see Basic Instinct as a kid, everybody knew about it because the kids that did get to see it told you all about it.
Right.
Right. So even like the references in there from movies that you haven't seen, and I'm speaking as myself, like even those movies that I had not seen yet, I already knew all about them, or, the important scenes. Like Basic Instinct basically comes down to one scene, right. That one. So like I got the beaver shot. Yeah, exactly. Like I laughed myself silly at that when I first saw it. Because like someone had explained to me the scene and, like that whole thing. So it was like that 360-degree camera angle in the Matrix, right? It was like that one shot, like everybody knew about it. It just became part of the culture.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that just as a kid, I think, and that's why it appealed to me. It's so goofy and stupid, and it's like a lot of other movies like this. I didn't understand all the jokes when I saw Naked Gun as a kid, way too early, like much earlier than I should have seen it. I didn't get all the jokes in that, but I knew some of the stuff was funny because it was stupid and it was ridiculous. Like the whole, just, throwing situations on their head, and just things that are so opposite of each other, and you've got these contrasting things going on in a way that makes it funny. I think anybody, regardless of whether you've seen the movies that they're parodying or not, that's when you can look at that and be like, okay, I don't get it, but that's funny.
Yes.
I don't need to have seen the Lethal Weapon movies to get to the scene where they're like, okay, well, let's get in the car and get going, and it explodes. All right, let's take a taxi, and then it explodes. And it's like, well, it's going to take
when the bikes explode.
Right, like it's going to take a lot more exploding cars to get us off this case. Well, not a lot more.
A lot more.
That was outstanding. And then when the bikes go, that was pretty funny.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially as a kid, because as a kid, I loved the Star Trek movies. Like, this would have been prime time for me to be a Star Trek fan, because I think, at this point, for all we knew, Star Wars was over. Like, you weren't going to get more Star Wars movies. It had been over for a decade at this point. So as a kid, I had started to kind of latch onto the Star Trek movies, and there were new Star Trek movies coming out. So I knew Scotty. I knew Captain Kirk. I had gone back and started watching the original series whenever I could find it on reruns or late at night on Nick at Night or wherever it was. So getting to see Captain Kirk in this and be like, this is Captain Kirk's got a mustache and he's a bad guy. This is kind of cool. So yeah, I think just I, as a kid, or when you ask like, who's the audience for this, 13-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Or those with the mentality of a 13-year-old boy.
I was going to say, and college students with cases of beer and other chemical alterations.
Yes. Yes.
So 13 to 25-year-old boys.
There you go.
I mean, really.
That works. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have, I'm going to ask the really dumb question here. Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite line in this movie? I mean, there are a lot.
There's a whole lot.
I'm your worst nightmare. Okay, so I'm not your worst nightmare, but I'm right up there. I do like that because I do love F. Murray Abraham because Amadeus is one of my favorite movies. Like that whole scene, and especially the part, and I didn't get this as a kid, but as an adult, when he does the whole quid pro quo, Mr. Colt, what does that mean? It means I'm pretentious.
Pretentious.
That was pretty funny. Anything with, I can't do the French accent as good as it. What was that guy's name? He was in Clue. He was in
Mr. Jigsaw.
Tim Curry. Thank you.
Tim Curry, yeah.
Anything with him, he just stole the scene.
Yeah.
The General Motors, Mike McCracken stuff is good.
Yeah. But he who hesitates is lost. Never judge a book by its cover.
What you see is what you get. Life is very short, and there's no time for fussing or fighting, my friend.
Yeah. Nope, it's not in the book.
Not in the book.
Sorry, Mike, no good.
Yeah, it's one of those where there's just so many little cute turns of phrase and lines and all that kind of stuff. Like I'd have to go back and like write down, this one, and to remember them all, just because they come at you so fast and furious. But yeah, I just have to say, any of the Tim Curry stuff, really, he was great.
Yeah. I do like, there's so much in here that is so similar to, the way the writing is done in Airplane and Naked Gun and all those different movies. So it's all the little, one-liners, like, got to get into a hospital. What's that? Well, it's a building with patients in it, but that's not important right now. That kind of stuff. It's like, well, what brought you here? What brought you here? A taxi. Well, why? Well, because my car's in the shop. Like, no, why did you come here? It's little things like that. Just the quick little, like, as they're...
And then...
the witty repartee.
And then with the follow-up, aren't you going to ask me what brought me to your doorstep? And he's like, okay, what brought you? Like, that was awesome. Because they carried that gag all the way. Mm-hmm. And that one was really good. Even Charlie Sheen's cameo is good. Just the way the looks on his face, when stuff was coming up, that was, he just still looks, and that was outstanding. The one turn to camera. What was the scene where Emilio Estevez turned to camera? You remember that?
Wasn't he called him something like, didn't he say something like, he quit being a hotshot?
Yeah, or something like that. And you see him just look at I love that.
Yeah.
I love that stuff when it's done right.
I do think it's funny when they're going through and comparing their injuries like they do in the Lethal Weapon movies.
Right.
Painful cuticle. Razor burn. Retaining water. Nickel beer
Plate
night, Dodger Stadium.
Plate in my head. Elective surgery.
Mm-hmm. Low budget organ transplant. Yeah. And a lot of product placement. You've got the dandruff shampoo, and
you gotta almost have
right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, Sergeant, I'm getting a burning sensation on foot. Well, yeah, no kidding. Your foot's on fire.
Your foot's on fire.
I remember just laughing at that one.
Yeah.
And I always say, yeah, that means it's working. So, Mr. C, my fingers hurt when I'm strumming on the guitar. Yeah, that means it's working.
There you go.
That means, and I wonder if I got it from this movie. I mean,
you might have.
I think the line, obviously, I think the line came from the commercial, right? For the dandruff shampoo.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think to use it in a humorous context, I think I might have gotten it from this movie.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I say that all the time.
And there's so many scenes. Like, there were scenes that were in this movie that, because it had been so long since I've seen this. I mean, it's probably been easily 20 years since I've seen this movie. And there were scenes that I was like, that's where I got that from.
There you go.
Like, it took me a hot second to be like, oh man, that runs in my brain all the time. That lives rent free in my little cranium right here all the time, and I could not remember what movie it was from. It is in this movie.
Now you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, do we have anything we want to talk about this one before we get into our 3 questions? It's a fun one. If you haven't seen it, it's dumb humor, just like Airplane, just like Animal House, just like the Naked Gun movie, any of those, just like any of those. It's fun, dumb humor. Yeah,
a lot more. It was more random and kind of, I don't want to say sketch than that, but it just, I think like the Naked Gun and Airplane were a little bit more like complete movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This one just seemed to be one cameo and funny scene after another.
Right.
And it worked because you just had all these, I guess you could say A-listers or B-listers, you know, just people that were fun to watch on screen showing up in the thing. And it's a lot of fun. And it's that style humor and all that kind of thing. But it, you know, you could almost watch this movie in sound bites. I'm just going to watch 5-10 minutes of it. You know, I mean, it like, it's just, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's all. I'll stop rambling. It's fun.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready for 3 questions?
I think we are.
I think it's time.
We are prepared.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Question number 1. Who is your favorite parody cop character?
Frank Drebin.
I felt like we might have some similar answers on this one.
Yeah. It's just, there's a lot of funny ones, but he's, to say that he's the original, that's probably not true, but he's the original in my mind.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff he does, the stuff with the Queen and the baseball scene and hanging from the hanging from the statue, like it's just perfect.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to double up with Bo. I mean, I grew up with the Naked Gun. I love those movies. I love Leslie Nielsen in there. I love that he was a serious actor. And then like he played all that comedy so well, largely by playing it straight. He's a talented guy, and I thank him for many laughs, and I thank him to be able to go back. All those guys that made the movie, you know, Leslie Nielsen obviously wasn't the only guy, you know, that did all that, but I mean, just I have to say thank you because I love the Naked Gun movies, and yeah, he is just great to watch.
Yeah, I think I have to go Frank as well. And I'm sure we might have. I mean, we could end up fighting over the fact that we all picked the same thing, but I'm sure we can handle this situation maturely, just like the responsible adults that we are. Isn't that right, Mr. Poopy Pants?
Oh man, and don't let me catch you guys in America. See, I'm just going to fall into starting to quote that movie now.
I know. All right. Well, that was an easy question. Let's go to our subset podcast, the 30-something food podcast, and ask the question, what are your favorite Girl Scout cookies?
Thin Mints.
Okay.
Thin Mints.
There's something about them.
Yeah. That's your answer too, Pat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I was told by my family, and I do agree that there are, although I do have a runner-up that I did always enjoy. I was told by members of my family there are only 2 correct answers to this question.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I
correct
tend to
answers,
agree.
The correct answers are Thin Mints or
Yep.
the I think they've been called a couple of different things. The tagalongs, the peanut butter patties, the chocolate covered.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I might have to fight you on that one because I would have to put a Samoa in there.
Oh, okay. Well, see, and aren't those the ones that have the caramel, coconut, and chocolate on? That would be my runner-up.
Yes.
So I would
Guys,
agree.
we are
I'm not as much of a mint. I do like the thin mints, but mint is not always my absolute favorite go-to flavor. So I would think I'd go the peanut butter, the tagalongs before that, and I might even go the Samoas before that.
I do like a peanut butter. I do like a tagalong.
Yeah.
They call them caramel delights now too, right? Are those the same things?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I think anything coconut. We are remarkably the same in our 3 questions answers, guys.
We are.
It's kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
Because everything you're saying, I'm agreeing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if this breaks the streak. Question number 3 for this one. What is your favorite joke name from a parody movie?
Favorite joke name.
And you're allowed to go. You're allowed to go with Bond girls too, if you need to.
Well, and see, okay, so this is where it gets interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The favorite has to be from Austin Powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of vagina.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then, as you start to like do research on goofy movie names, there's some really funny stuff out there, man.
Yeah.
We just talked about the Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad.
Mm-hmm.
How could you forget Pap Schmear?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm not gonna. I have more, but I'll put those 2 out there. Let you guys go, and then I've got some honorable mentions that should be mentioned.
Go for it, John. What were some of your names?
I mean, I think a lot of mine are. Well, a lot of mine could be from the Austin Powers movies. You know, I do love a good random task. Yeah.
Right.
I did anything from Spaceballs. I'm pretty good with anything from Spaceballs. Yogurt, Pizza the Hut.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I think if I had to narrow it down to something, I'm probably gonna go with yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with like random task just because no. Here's what I'm gonna go with. And oddly enough, it's not a joke name, but it had all of us losing our cool when we went to go see that one James Bond movie in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the name in the credits, Pat?
Oh, I remember the name.
Yeah.
He was a stunt guy.
He was a stunt guy with a stunt name.
Yes. Tank Dong.
Yes.
It was outstanding.
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually,
that's going to be my choice. I'm going with that one, even though that's not, you know. His parents would be very proud.
Yes. I've got nothing to add to much any of this. I really, I don't have a standout one that always cracks me up. Like all the ones you're listing are funny to me. All the Bond, the Bond girls, those names get silly. I mean, I really liked growing up, like Odd Job. Like, how do you get a name like Odd Job?
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. But Bo, you'll have to list your honorable mentions. I don't, and I've been looking through the lists and none of them really stand out if I had to pick one. I kind of like them all. They're all fun whenever they get the name or the nicknames. And, it kind of gets into one of those, like, your nickname or call sign is kind of chosen for you based on something that you do or, so it's kind of like all the quirky little names, they have appeal. I'm hard pressed to find one.
And some of mine aren't even like, Biggest Dickus.
I was just about to say, I just realized I didn't go with that one, so that I'm changing my answer.
Which surprised me. I thought you were going to go there.
I'm changing my answer because I was very wrong. in not choosing that. I can't believe I missed my very good friend in Rome.
I have a very great friend in Rome called Bigus Dickus. Silence!
I have to be honest. I was like, well, John's going to say that one, so I'm going to not even go there.
John should have said that one. John apologizes for letting everybody down.
Like, I mean, you could, depending on your sense of humor, like Dirk Diggler from Boogie Nights.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Then there's some that are just so goofy. Like when you think about, they're not even from comedy movies. This one's from A Christmas Story. Scut Farkas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it as the movie's going, but if you see it written down, you're like, what the hell?
He had yellow eyes. God help me. Yellow eyes.
And yeah, you could go down the Bond, the Bond girl route, and you could spend all day. I mean, it just keeps going. Zinnia on a top. I mean,
yes.
Right.
There's just, and you gotta feel for the writers, and they gotta come up with a name for all these characters, and sometimes they're just gonna go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
This is on a list I've been scrolling through. It's from a movie I don't even recognize called The Master of Disguise. Oh. Pistachio Discuzzi. Come on.
There you go.
Funny stuff.
You know, Scut Farkas, though, that might be like somebody knew a Scut Farkas when they were writing that, right? Like they knew that's somebody's childhood friend
or childhood bully.
Right, indeed.
Yes, most assuredly so.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if you have any answers to any of these questions, who's your favorite parody cop character? What are your favorite Girl Scout cookies? As we've said, there may only be 2 or 3 acceptable answers. And what's your favorite joke name from a parody movie, a punny name if you have one? Feel free to send those in. You can send those in to us either by leaving us a voicemail at 30podcast.com. You can tweet at us. You can Mastodon at us. I don't know the verbs for some of these newer social medias ones. So,
tooting, I believe, is the Mastodon.
That just feels awkward to me.
Well, it's even more awkward is the one for Blue Sky.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Do I even want to ask?
Mean, like, I don't even know if I want to say it on a family-friendly podcast.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'll say it after pod, and you can decide.
All right. Frankly, with the Mastodon one, I don't want to invite anybody to toot at me.
This is my point.
I feel.
I'm just saying. You start saying I got to toot at people, I feel like I'm back in college.
Right?
I feel like I'm in that scene in Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
It's the campfire scene. Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, anyway, however you want to send us messages, maybe just not that way, but however you want to send us messages, you can let us know your answers to those questions and more. When you contact us here at the 30-something movie podcast. This month is our action month, so we have got action movies galore this month. Our Patreon episode, as I said earlier, was American Graffiti. We also did a short for Local Hero and another short for the David Bowie vampire movie, The Hunger, which when I first started watching that, have you guys seen that one before?
I have not.
Okay. So I first started watching it, and unfortunately, when I was getting just the beginning credits, I didn't even get that far. I was in the beginning credits and I saw who else was in the movie, and it derailed me for the first 5 or 10 minutes because I had another line running through my head. It was showing in the credits who's in this movie, and it's like David Bowie, Susan Sarandon. I'll let you guess what started running through my head when I see the next name in the credits. Catherine Deneuve.
And Charo twice.
Thank you. I was waiting for the credits to actually list Charo twice.
That would have been outstanding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ursula Andress.
Catherine Deneuve.
Yes.
And Charo.
Yes. Twice. And I was so disappointed when she didn't show up, but you know. So yes, The Hunger. It was a bit of a weird one, but we got a Patreon short on that one this month, and actually it was kind of a fun movie. But it has oddly enough. So here's what would be interesting about it if you want to go watch it. If you're like, I don't know about that. It is the first, I believe, it is the first major movie that was directed by Tony Scott, and the next movie that he did after The Hunger was Top Gun. So if you want to see a movie that's very different from Top Gun, but it's the movie he did right before Top Gun, then go watch The Hunger.
Interesting.
So, for the rest of this month on our regular feed, we've got In the Line of Fire, Demolition Man, we did last week, Loaded Weapon, obviously it was this week, Striking Distance is next week, and The Three Musketeers is the last week of the month. And then in June, we've got our From Page to Screen. All of our regular episodes are ones that were plays or books or some other form and were turned into movies. So our regular feed, we've got Much Ado About Nothing, The Pelican Brief, Shortcuts, and The Firm. And then in our Patreons for that one, we've got Disney's Robin Hood is the main Patreon episode. And then we've got two shorts. One is going to be a random 80s movie, which I have yet to select, but I will do that pretty soon. And then The Flash, the 2023 Flash movie, which I am super excited. Every time I see a new trailer for that one, just to see Michael Keaton back as Batman again and what they're going to do with that one, it looks insane and it looks fun. So I am definitely looking forward to that one. All kinds of good stuff coming up soon. All right. Well, gents, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you, as always, for being here with me.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Oh, and I just thought of it. Movie names.
Yeah.
The Three Amigos. Lucky Day, Ned Needlender, and Dusty Bottoms.
There you go.
Yes.
Those are also
you know what?
Yes.
One of the things you said jogged my memory. There I go. I got an answer. No rejection of questions tonight.
No, absolutely not. And the infamous El Guapo.
The infamous El Guapo.
Yeah. The infamous? Infamous? Wow.
Infamous.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, we're going to go take some unmotivated butt in the moonbeam walks right now, and we'll see you later. But in the meantime, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time.